And take 3. Go on then. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Well, this is our first trip to France this year. A return trip back out to Etang Du Manoir, one of our favourite lakes. They've had numerous new 50s out over the last few weeks. So we're hoping we might hit it right and have a good week.
And the owner did message us the other day and said that the fish had started to spawn. Hopefully they would have finished by the time we get there, but he did say that the week after spawning the place normally fishes really well, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, so watch out. Hopefully we'll have some good times this week and land a few fish.
£49 and a few ounce. What a fish.
Ten minutes, 45:11. Lovely little 19
It looks absolutely stunning.
Just arrived at Etang Du Manoir. It's just a lovely lake here. 4.5 hour drive from Dieppe on the overnight ferry, so we're both feeling a little bit tongue tied and tired at the moment. We met with John and Kim and they never cease to amaze us. They make you feel so welcome here. It's so homely and they can't do enough for you.
Yeah, and we've had a walk around the lakes since we arrived, and have to say it looks absolutely stunning. This is probably the 6th or 7th time we've been here. They've redone all the swims, yeah, literally all of the swims, haven't they?
Yeah.
Put gravel in swims 3 to 5.
Yes, they've redone a nice path over the back there.
Yeah, and the place just looks so green. There's lilies and irises that we've just never seen before, that have popped up all over the lake, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Well, the last couple of trips we've done out here was sort of an autumnal feel, and we even did a over Christmas week out here, so we've probably seen it when it's sort of in the bleakest weather that you can have. So coming back out this week, it's just so green, and the vivid yellow in the irises, and like Deb said, all the lily pads. It's just, our eyes filled with colour as we were walking around the lake. It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah, and we've decided on the back of what we haven't seen any signs of fish really walking around, so on the back of what John and Kim suggested to us when we had a chat with them earlier, we've decided, even if it's just for one night, we're going to go into Weedy Bay, which apparently is where they've seen fish, and where last week the guy had
a few fish, yeah. I think, from, didn't he?
So we're going to go get the stuff out of the van, get set up, and hopefully we'll catch you later.
Yeah, you never know, we might have some news, but I think our main aim today is just to get set up
and sleep.
Yep, Kim will be down soon with dinner, and then we'll like we just said, get set up, get our heads down, get the rods out, and see what happens for the first night.
I'll catch you later. first night here, and we decided to bivvy up in Weedy Bay, just maybe for the nights, see if we could bag a lump. And this one's just come along, £49 and a few ounce. Ridge Monkey end tackle, hooked on baits, Blitz and Hemp, and T1, Baitcraft T1 boilies. Wow.
So it's morning on day one. As you know, we set up in Weedy Bay last night just to see what happens. And yeah, Deb had a little bit of luck last night.
I did, about 2:30 this morning. It wasn't a screamer by any means, but I looked at and I saw the bobbin had hit the top of the rod, and probably after about 15 minutes, I would say, I knew it was quite a chunk I had on. And yeah, cut a long story short, 49.4 mirror, gave Elaine a shout. Did manage to wipe out my other rod, but it was quite misty and quite foggy at the time, and when it surfaced I actually thought it was going to go a lot bigger, I have to say, and when we got it in the net we both thought, wow. But yeah, 49.4.
When you say a lot bigger, we knew it was around the 40, in my head 48, 53, that kind of mark. It was a big fish.
I'm angling after a 50 from here, because my previous PB from here was 49.12. That was last April. Since broke it by a couple of pound out in Hungary, but I really want a 50, if not a 60 from here. They're in here to be had, definitely. So yeah, really pleased. First night, first fish. We're going to have a cup of tea now and get the rods back out on the spots. We couldn't see what we were doing last night.
Yeah, we struggled. It got really misty here when you put your head torch on and you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. You certainly couldn't recast or see any tree line to cast back to. So yeah, cup of tea, as Deb says. Get the rods back out on the spots.
Yep.
There was quite a bit of action in here last night. The fish was certainly over one of my rods, and the fish were both over both of Deb's rods, but just one produced. So, but that's not bad for the first night. Seems we were really tired, and we just wanted to get the rods out. So,
and we've had some sleep now, so all is good.
Yep. Let's see what the day brings. First day in at Etang Du Manoir, and had just a lovely little 19 pounder on RM terminal tackle and the good old faithful T1 Baitcraft, with a little stocking from Castaway of chopped up Baitcraft T1 in there as well. Had to go out in the boat for this one, but nevertheless a few more pound and it's going to be a stunner.
Here we are, it's Monday, and following on from my early hours of yesterday morning, 49 mirror. The only fish that we've had since then was literally on tea time yesterday. Kim had just brought the food round, taken about 4 mouthfuls and off the rod went. Lovely dinner as well, so it was almost like
roast chicken.
Anyway, to cut a long story short, Elaine had to go out in the boat. Kim and I helped from the bank.
You supervised?
We supervised from the bank. she managed to get the fish in, lovely upper teens, dark mirror, like well, it was a stocky, wasn't it?
Yeah, stocky, yeah, but they're absolutely lovely, really gorgeous fish. And when they look like that, you really don't mind how small they are,
No.
especially in the middle of dinner. But
so we managed to get that sorted out, eat our cold dinner.
Yeah.
And today's been, well, since then, it's been just devoid of any action really, not seen any fish showing.
Last night we never heard anything really,
No.
did we?
And the weather has been just...
It's just really unsettled at the moment and changeable, so we've got a wind coming from the north, well, breeze, and it's raining on and off. Then you might get a bit of sun, but the sun don't stay around for long, then it rains a bit, then it comes overcast, so...
Yeah, so we've taken the decision, as we did when we arrived, that we weren't going to be in Weedy Bay forever. We know it's a finicky bay, the fish are easily spooked out, and I think having done 2 nights in, well, it'll be 3 nights now when after tonight, we've decided that in the morning after breakfast we're going to move round to the other side of the lake. It's a side we've fished before, we do know the spots around there. Hopefully we can go around there and something will produce.
Hopefully, the fish push out this bay really easily, so hopefully by going round there they will feel a bit confident. They've got a lot more water around there as well, so they might stay round there, and then just every now and again we might have a chance and nick one.
So that's the plan. Yeah,
so tomorrow when we give you an update, we'll see if our plan has come into fruition or whether it's we've just got settled down and see what the night brings. But
yep.
So we'll catch up soon. So Debbie and I get asked fairly regularly what rigs we use, etc., just for pieces of advice for people really. And one rig we use fairly often is a Ronnie Rig, purely because it's very, very simple to tie. It's a bit of a lazy rig, and we like the extra bit of metal in it that helps weight down the boilie. So we've got a few components here, and I'll quickly tie one for you. So we've got a Ridge Monkey curve shanked barb hook, size 4 for where we're fishing at the moment, and then we have their ring swivel as well. So we literally attach the hook to the ring swivel and pull it through. Then we have a small piece of shrink tubing that we cut to the length of, from the barrel just over to the eye of the hook. And pull that over, pulling it over the hook on the swivel right down to the barrel. And then I don't know if the wind's going to allow me to do this, but let's give it a go. Shrink it down. Then we have one of their little micro swivels that we thread over the point of the hook, and one of their little beads, their hook beads. Now always make sure I put the fatter end of the hook bead on first, and then when the eye of the swivel hits the bead, it hits the fat point. Then we take a bit of bait floss, thread it through the eye of the swivel, get your bait, pulling the swivel into the bait there so it still runs freely. Cut the tag ends off and blob it down. And then for our boom section, we love the soft coated hook link in the camo. For everyday fishing, this is the one to use that we absolutely prefer, whether it's a normal hair rig, knotless knot, or our Ronnies. And what we do is we actually tie this section completely separate away from the swivel, and we just do 2 loops at the end with a figure of 8 knot. Pulling them tight. And the reason we tie this little boom section like this is it means we can interchange our Ronnies, so we can have these already made up for quickness, and if we want a supple hook link, thread the loop through the rig ring, and that's our Ronnie with the supple hook link. We have the other option, if you can see this, as a stiff boom made from the clear fluorocarbon. So if we want our Ronnie rig to be pushed away from the lead and sit down, then we can just quickly change the boom section. Onto a stiff link, and there you have it.
Right, so it's Tuesday evening, and we've spent the day, well, pretty much all of the day, moving from Weedy Bay into Peg 5. And
took the opportunity, didn't we, to go and have a shower?
Yeah, well needed shower. And to be honest, having moved around this side of the lake, I did think we might see a little bit more action around here, because this side hasn't been visible to us when we've been in Weedy Bay. We've heard a few crashes, etc., but having got round here, I think we've seen a couple of fish top, but nothing that really sort of excites us. And
no, they just don't.
They don't seem to be feeding.
No, there's no real sign of fish feeding at the moment. You occasionally see the odd one top, and inevitably it's over your baited spot, but they're just not picking up your bait. So, like Deb said, moved from Weedy Bay, which we knew was a temporary stay, didn't we? And we said when we got here 1 or 2 nights, but we actually stayed 3.
And that was based yesterday on the fact the weather app said it was going to be raining all day. So we held off, and lo and behold, it didn't rain all day. So yeah, we bit the bullet this morning. We've moved. We're now in Peg 5. Rods are out. Baits all mixed up, and etc. etc. Home set up. So
rods have just gone out now, just on dusk, as the sun's setting. We've rested the water again. We put a bit of bait in before we've put any lines in the water around here. We've been out actually in the boat this afternoon and actually had a bit of a look at the growth off the island and that, just to see how deep the overhang goes. Yeah, I mean, this end of the lake is totally different to Weedy Bay. Weedy Bay is a small section of water that is quite isolated from the rest of the lake. So we've moved out, we've come up the other end, hoping that the fish are all up here because we've pushed them out of Weedy Bay. We haven't seen any as yet.
We've seen 2 shows,
Yeah.
and that's it. But as I said, the baits are all out on the spots, spots that we've fished before, and we're confident that we've had fish from them. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so Deb's gone with a slightly heavier baiting tactic than I have to start off with. She's gone quite heavy on the particle and boilie, whereas I've gone lighter on the particle on 2 rods, and I've done tiny little sticks as well, just literally probably a stick the size of 2 18mm boilies out with each rig. A little scattering of particle and boilie, and then one I've literally cast out a single, just trying a different tactic on each rod just to see if that makes any difference really. Yeah, and we'll go from there and see what happens, and we'll catch up in the morning and let you know if we've been successful.
Yep.
Ah, shop!
Photo bomb. Okay, so we're out here at Etang Du Manoir, and we have decided on the T1 boilies on this trip. They do 2 or 3 different variations, but the T1 and the Super K are our favourites. So the T1s we've already prepped and glugged with the T1 cow cola, and this is fantastic stuff, it really is. We've glugged our boilies already with this and let them soak overnight, and we tipped in a whole bottle over about, what would you say, about 10k boilies. So that's a real liquid additive that we've used. So that's the choice of boilies for this session, and we've gone with 22 millers just to try something different. As well as that, we're using a particle from Hooked on Baits and a mix of bait craft, pellets, stick mix and spod drops. So we'll start with the Hooked on Baits Blitz. Now this is our absolute favourite, isn't it? So this is made up of 4 different types of nut, hemp, and it's all crushed before the cooking process to make sure that all the oils stay in the mix. It's PBA friendly, and it's also shelf life. Now the preserve that they use in this is completely and utterly natural, and we absolutely love this. It creates a complete and utter soup when you put it in the water, which hopefully we might get a shot of for you later to see how it clouds the water up. So that's the Blitz. Now we put in some of the hemp. Hooked on Baits do a couple of different variations of hemp. One is a chili, one is, I think they call it Maga Mix, which has coloured rice grains thought to look like maggots, but again this is treated in exactly the way. It's shelf life, PBA friendly. It's actually Chinese hemp as well, which gives it's a giant size hemp, and it gives a better oil content.
Smells good.
Yeah. And here we add our stick mix. Now this is Baitcraft Super K stick mix. So although we're fishing with T1 boilies, this is really pungent. The Super K boilie system is it's a campaign bait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not an instant bait, but it makes the fish feel good apparently.
Yep, and they once they get on it, they sought after it over any other bait. So because of the smell and the attractant and it being so pungent, we like to add this into our stick mix and our particle mix as well. So tip a bit of that in.
Okay.
So there's the T1 stick mix as well, but like I say, we want the pungent smell here with our bait, so we've gone with the Super K. We'll just do a dash of cow cola. absolutely love these. These are fantastic from Baitcraft. They're called spod drops. They are, I would guess you'd sort of say, almost about 6mm boilie size. Made of the same boiling mix, but they are just fantastic. They're literally like a pellet, and we absolutely love these. So some spod drops in there as well. It gets that boilie scent, and they break down slightly quicker than the bigger boilies, so it gets it all flavour breaking down in the water. And then they also do matching T1 pellets and Super K pellets. Now we're going to go with the Super K because again we want the added smell to our mix here, because we've got all the T1 glug and boilies and spod drops, so we just want that added, smell that, we want that added smell.
Very garlicky.
Put quite a few of them in, and again a nice release of flavour. And I think that's about it.
There we are.
There we are. So there's our particle, pellet and our spod drop mix together with our liquid additive, and of course we're chucking a few boilies in with that as well, and that's what we'll be fishing with.
Okay, so the mix that Elaine's just made up, or we've both just made up, this is exactly what it looks like when it drops through the water, and you'll see the cloud that it creates. Look at that. What carp could resist, eh? Wednesday evening at Etang Du Manoir. We've just come, well, not just come back, but we came back a little while ago, had a lovely barbecue that the guys did for us, and we've got settled back in the swim, got the rods out, and we've not really got anything to report, have we?
No, we are really struggling for a bite out here at the moment. There's two other guys on the lake with us, and you know, Deb was lucky, I think, to get 49 on the first night.
Oh, Elaine did have a tench earlier.
Oh yeah, I had a
little
tench.
tench.
And then of course I had the 18-19 pound mirror, and apart from that it's been really dead, isn't it?
Yeah, we've seen fish boshing, crashing over our baited
not
spots.
Not a huge amount.
No, not a lot, but they're definitely there, but for some reason they're just not getting their heads down. You know, we've done 2 nights now with, well, I've certainly had no liners. I think Elaine had a few last night.
Yeah.
Weather's been hot for the last couple of days, yesterday and today. It's been lovely during the day and not quite as cold at night, and I think the wind has swung round, hasn't it?
Yeah, because we had a north wind, and I think for a while today the forecast was that it was swinging around, I think, to south-southwest. So it has definitely been warmer temps the last couple of days. But yeah, like Deb said, we are seeing fish on our spots, but for some reason they are just not picking up the bait. So we have baited with really quite light tactics the last few days. We didn't see much sign of fish, so we're thinking we'll fish for a bite at a time, and that was our tactic. But midweek, change of plan. As Jay says, feed them and they will come, so that's what we've done tonight. I've gone with hooked on hemp, and T1 boilie, and Deb has gone slightly differently with Blitz and T1, and just a variation of a pop-up or a bottom bait rig or even a snowman. So we've got literally everything covered, different coloured pop-ups. So yeah, so we know, and the spots that we're on, we know produce fish. We've fished this lake now a good 6 or so times, haven't we? And 4 or 5 of those times has actually been in this swim. So we know these spots produce, and we have every confidence in the rig and the bait that we're using. It's just the fish just aren't playing ball at the moment.
It's on the back of spawning, and
I mean, there's so many fry in the margins. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And frogs.
Yeah, and frogs. So we know they're out there. We know the anglers prior to us had some good hits. I really do just think it's been a slightly hard week for everyone. I don't, I'm not doubting our ability, our skill, our rig, their bait, nothing. It's just, it is what it is. And sometimes, as you know, it happens, and other times it doesn't. And you can do your damnedest to make it happen, and hopefully we will turn it around in the next couple of days.
At the end of the day, we've not blanked. It's only Wednesday. No. We're going home Saturday morning, so
still got half the week,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. So I'm confident, hopefully, that we will get some more fish, and we can come back to you soon with some good news.
Yep. We've had a little bit of superstition, haven't we? We've done a fish dance. We've paid the lake. So, it's nothing that we are not doing, and it's nothing that we are doing that's the problem. It's just the fish just aren't there at the moment. But we'll wait and see, and hopefully we'll come back to you with some good news at some point. Right, so as you might know when you get the updates, it's been a slow old week. Aerators have come on this morning, and literally 10 minutes, 45:11. T1 boilie and little yellow T1 pop-up with loads and loads of hooks on bait. Hemp, and we're on them. Hopefully this is the start. Lovely. Okay, so a change of tactics today. Getting near the end of the week and you kind of have to bite the bullet. So yeah, change of tactics, slightly different rig and bait, and I'll show you it in a minute. Okay, so we just had a 45:11 mirror. Change of tactics this morning just to try and literally force something to happen. So baiting quite heavily today with T1 boilie, the spod drops and hooked on baits hemp, just to try and make something different. So we did fill both hoppers up on a bait boat. There must have been a good 3 or 4 kilo gone out on one spot. Came half a rod length away from the spot that I was previously fishing, so I'm not fishing quite so tight to the island. And I thought, right, if they're being finicky over baits, then we'll try something different. So we've got the assorted pop-ups here from Baitcraft with my good old faithful Ronnie Rig. I like a Ronnie Rig purely because it can sit on top of a lot of the leaf debris in that out there without sort of knowing that your hook point's clear. I shortened the hook link by about 1 inch. I also put a golf ball size PVA stocking of Super K and T1 pellet, actually threaded the Ronnie Rig into that to hopefully make the 2 little pop-ups sit just on top of that little mouthful of food and try and hide the hook bait so it wasn't sitting quite so prominent up off the deck. And that's what's brought the bright. So let's get back out there and see what else we can bring.
Right, Thursday evening update. Had a bit of change of fortune today. Elaine had a nice 45-11 mirror this morning. Rod had literally only been out about 10 minutes. Sent the bait boat out with quite a lot of bait in it, and off she rattled.
Yeah. So the fish just are not picking up any bait. There's others on the lake and no one's catching. I feel sorry for the 2 guys on the other side of the lake for us. They haven't had anything as yet, and we've had 3 fish now, 2 on the first 24 hours, and then the one sort of, what was it, about midday today?
Yeah.
Ish. So the aerators have come on today, but also we tweaked our bait, so I'm baiting heavily with hooked on baits, Hemp, and Deb is using hooked on baits Blitz alongside our T1 boilies and our spod drops. But what we have done is reduce the size of the baits but increase the amount. That way we're thinking that if the fish are finicky and picking up the odd bait, then we can see them sort of showing over our spots, but nothing's feeding. There's no sign of feeding at all. So
no.
I shortened my hook length, didn't I, till really quite small, and literally fished with a tiny little pop-up, and it's worked. So that's the plan again for tonight. It's just started raining.
To rain.
So
that might switch them on as
yeah,
well.
that might switch them on. So yeah, fingers crossed again for tonight.
Yep.
And let's see. We've never struggled like this out in France. It's just been the wrong week. But never mind, we've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the best place ever, and we certainly know the fish are in here. We just have to work harder to get them.
Got to find them.
That's it. Well, last night at Etang Du Manoir, and what a beautiful place it's been. We've struggled to get on the fish this week, haven't we?
We have, massively. And we've not really seen any action today. The aerators have been on again, and yeah, we're scratching our heads, aren't we? But we did have earlier on, and it did occur to us that there's a lot of dragonfly nymphs coming out the lake and attaching themselves to the bivvy. We actually got one on time lapse on the phone this afternoon hatching, and we've seen a lot, haven't we? So we're thinking, what with the where the fish have spawned, there's a lot of fry. We've got a lot of frogs here. There's obviously a lot of frog spawn, tadpoles, etc.
A lot of snails in the margins as well.
So either the carp are preoccupied on the naturals rather than going for the our boilie or bait, as it were, or I don't know. Or they're just resting?
There's two other lads on the lake with us, and they bless them, they haven't had a sniff all week, so we have been spoilt, if you like, with the 3 carp that we have had and a small tench. We've had 2 carp on the first 24 hours of getting here, and then we moved out of that area partway through the week and come down to the other end of the lake, and then I had a 45 yesterday, so it really has been scratching for a bite at a time.
Yeah, it's not as though any one of us or any swim in particular is caning it, or because that's not the case. I mean, none of us are doing anything wrong. We're all on different baits, all tried a myriad of different tactics.
They're just not having it, are they?
No.
And occasionally you get a show up under one of the snags or on the near bush, and to be often or not, most of the time when they show, it's pretty much on your spot, but they are just not going for hook baits at the moment. It's just been unfortunate, one of those weeks I think after spawning, etc., and lots of naturals.
The stock is, I mean, we know ourselves from having been here 6 times before, but Elaine's got a little rundown of the stock that we got the other day.
The stock's amazing. It's a 6.5 acre lake, and it's like a little English estate lake. Really mature, really quiet, buzzards flying overhead. It's absolutely lovely. Pucker swims, easy to walk round, and you can drive sort of halfway round the lake on either side to unload your gear. But just to give you an idea of the stock, there's 3 known 60s in here, 29 50s, there's up to 50 40s, and up to 40 30s. There's also 5 kois in the lake that go up to 44 pound, and I've had the privilege of catching 2 of those, haven't I?
Oi and the tiger koi, haven't you?
Yeah, I think lesser weights around the sort of mid-30 mark, wasn't it? A couple of years ago. So I would dearly love a recapture of tiger koi at that weight now. But it's an absolute stunning place. We cannot recommend it enough. Just contact Jason, Kim, or John. And
the one thing we haven't touched on yet is the food package. It's €140 a week, and for that you get either breakfast baguette or breakfast in a box delivered to your swim, and then in the evening Kim does a lovely meal, different meal every evening, depending on the weather. She can knock up a salad and something a little bit lighter, salad jacket, like we had salad jacket chicken last night. Today we've had a roast dinner, which was lovely. She does things like spaghetti bolognese, all delivered to your swim. You don't have to reel in at bite time or anything like that, and it's just well worth the and they tend to, once a week, they tend to, for the people that are on, do a get together barbecue as well down by the lodge. And that's lovely. Just have a pull in for a few hours, have a social, a few beers and a chat, and it's just really, really nice. And like we say, it's a really intimate lake, but no one's really fishing over anybody else. There's plenty of water. It's just lovely, isn't it? You've got snag fishing, open water fishing, marginal fishing. You've got it all. And one more thing as well, you can pay €3 an hour. They've got new aerators in this year. €3 an hour, and that's purely to just cover the cost of the diesel
on the generator.
On the generator. Not only obviously does that give you oxygenation in the water, but it also gives you power in every swim as well for the duration of the time it's on. So again, if you've got the lodge to charge stuff should you so need to, but if you want power in your swim, it's there.
So like Deb said, you've got English plugs out here, but they actually supply you with a 5 metre extension lead, so it goes in your bivvy. yeah, and we took that offer up this year, didn't we? And actually, to be honest, the last couple of days has been really nice, especially when you're filming, or if you use a bait boat, etc. You've got your charging points. I've had the laptop with me as well, so I've been able to do a little bit of work. And it's just great. We will always be coming back here because we've got some big fish in here with their names on it, and it's just unfortunate this week. But we've had some blinding sessions on here. We really have. We've broken PBs. We've had fish that have been really, really special, and because it's family run, they can't do enough for you, and it certainly shows when you're in your swim. It's just lovely. So if you haven't been, get in touch with Jason or Kim, Etang Du Manoir. You won't be disappointed.